Hello, my guys. Where are we now? Estimation. Look at that. Uh, Interesting. I never thought I'd see this word estimation when it comes to. 1 second. All right. So estimation is used by business analysts and other stakeholders to forecast the cost and effort involved in pursuing course of action. It makes sense if that's what you're estimating. Cost of our efforts. They're not estimating the end result, the cost and effort, right? Because they want to calculate some shit. Description. Estimation is used to support decision making by predicting attributes such as cost, effort, pursue, action, expected solution, benefits, cost, project cost, business performance, potential value anticipated from a solution, and cost of creating a solution, cost of operating a solution, potential risk impact. Amazing. The result of the estimation is sometimes expressed with a single number. Representing the result of the estimation is a range with minimum and maximum values among the probability may be present with higher degree or effectiveness for stakeholders. I imagine it's more than one number, but ultimately, because we're talking costs right now, like they're directly talking like physical cash. This range is referred to as a confidence interval and serves as a measure of the level of uncertainty. The less information that is available to the estimator, the wider the confidence interval will be. Estimation is an iterative process. Estimates are reviewed as more information becomes available and are also revised if appropriate. Many estimation techniques rely on historical performance records from the organization in order to calibrate estimates against prior experience. Each estimate can include an assessment of its associated level of uncertainty. So whatever we estimate kind of changes when there are more reviews, kind of like when there's more information happening. And more techniques rely on historical performance records from the organization, but also like, the records could be how much we paid, what we have to pay now, what are we using, blah, 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 and all that kind of shit. And also kind of like it's weighed against prior experience. It could include an assessment or, I don't know, assessment of its associated level of uncertainty, I guess. Like, that's actually important, I feel, because what we end up doing is we end up looking at small. We end up looking at we estimate this, but that's the percentage of us kind of like going off. So if it's $100 at a 10%, which means we should expect 110, right? As costs. If it's $100 at a 50%, that's like 150. So we work to reduce the 50 and to better anticipate for the future. And I feel that could be a systematic approach to evolving. Whatever. Elements. What are the methods? Various methods of estimation are used for specific situations. Yay, of course. In each case, it's important that the estimators have an agreed upon description of the elements to be estimated, often in the form of a work breakdown structure or some other decomposition of all the work being estimated, right? So like, there's always this harmony that they keep talking about. Like the people that are involved need to kind of like agree to what they're doing or why they're doing it or where they're doing it or how they want to do it or what exactly like, are they going to be doing about it, right? Like, the interaction with it. So when developing and delivering an estimate, constraints and assumptions also need to be clearly communicated, right? Like, what are our constraints? What are we assuming? And from there, we kind of like all work within that realm. Common estimation methods include top-down, examining the components at a high level in the hierarchy and breakdown. Top-down, start from the end result and then go down into the detail. Bottom-up is using the lowest level elements of a hierarchical breakdown to examine the work in detail and estimate the individual cost or effort. That when summoning across all elements to provide an overall estimate, like it's a bottom-up approach, is a lot more small. I feel a bottom-up approach allows us always to see from a different angle, but a top-down approach kind of like redirects in order for something to look a certain kind of way. Parametric estimation, use of calibrated parametric model of the element. I have no idea what parametric is. parametric estimation model. Is that a good thing to Google? Parametric estimating is more than just a formula. It's a powerful cost estimation model. Is there an image for it? Can you guys see it? Like this, I think you can, right? Yeah, so effectively, like, what we're doing is this estimation process is closer to Scrum or like Agile development, where it kind of defines the project scope, identify key parameters and variables, collect historical data, develop parametric model and make adjustments, then generate an estimate and then define the scope, or like use that to kind of like go around and round and round and round and down. I guess this method of estimation allows for a cyclical approach. There's also the estimating methods. There's analogous estimating, which is previous similar project. There's bottoms-up estimation. There's 3-point estimates, optimistic, realistic, pessimistic, and basically estimate of the new project. It's good. This one's cute. I think it's also going to be mentioned, right? Rough order of magnitude, like use of calibrated parametric model of the element attributes being estimated. It's important that the organization uses its own history to calibrate any parametric model. So the parametric model seems like it kind of like builds on top of itself, right? Like, this is what we did last time, this is how we implemented it. Right, like we define project scope, we identify the key parameters. That's what parametric stands for, the parameters and variables. We collect the historical data, we develop the model, and then basically we generate an estimate, and then it kind of circles around itself. Rolling wave, repeated estimates throughout an initiative or a project, providing detailed estimates of near-term activities, such as an iteration of the work extrapolated for the remainder of the initiative of the project. Delphi uses a combination of expert judgment and history. There are several variations on this process. Delphi, I think I remember that somewhere in accounting. But they all include individual estimates, sharing the estimates with experts, and having several rounds of estimation until consensus is reached. An average of 3 estimates is used. Yeah, see? The Delphi seems to be the one that we were looking at here, which is basically like 3-point estimates. Right? These are 3-point estimates that we were looking at. And the PERT, each component of the estimate is given 3 values, optimistic. Oh, so the PERT is this one. 3-point system is the PERT. I don't know what the Delphi is. Let's Google it, man. Why the fuck not? Delphi estimate system. So the Delphi method is literally like you select 15, 12 experts from relevant trades, you distribute focused cost questionnaires anonymously, compile responses and share statistical summaries. So I'm interested, what does it stand for? DELPHI. Delphi stand for estimate, talk estimate, or ETE structure, like, originally developed as a systematic interactive, where experts anonymously, it's just, I think it's, Delphi is, I remember it being a company or something maybe, I'm not sure, but I think that's basically the thing. And so the Delphi, you kind of like get experts and you tell them to kind of like give you information, and based on that you kind of like estimate. And the PERT, you kind of pick an optimistic value, pessimistic value, a most likely value. And then basically like you kind of like average them out. What are the other things that we're working on? We're working on accuracy and estimates. The accuracy of an estimate is the measure of uncertainty that evaluates how close the estimate is to the actual value measured later. It can be calculated as a ratio of the width of the confidence interval to its mean value, and then expressed as a percentage. Naturally, percentages are like I feel the percentage is what we use on basically the risk, right? Like what I talked to earlier about, like, if we're looking at how far off we could be, then ultimately what we need to do is kind of like connect with it. When there is little information, such as early in the development of the solution approach, a rough order of magnitude ROM estimate is delivered, which is expected to have wide range possible values and high level of uncertainty. So ROM estimates are often no more than 50% to 50% to negative 50% accurate. If they're above 50, that means you're not estimating at all. You're kind of like winging it. A definitive estimate, which is much more accurate, can be made as long as the real-world data is collected. Definitive estimates that are used for predicting timelines, final budget, and resource needs should ideally be accurate within 10% or less. That makes sense. Like 10% or less is a good kind of like, I kind of messed up. But beyond 10%, you kind of like are not necessarily like, you're not detailing as much as you should or you could. Teams can combine the use of ROM estimates and the definitive estimates throughout the project or initiative using rolling wave estimates. A rolling wave estimates like, okay, we estimated this, it didn't work, or it worked this way, then this, and then this, and this, and it keeps kind of like moving forward. Which have adequate information. As a team creates a definitive estimate for the next iteration or phase, which will have adequate information, while the remainder of the work is given to the ROM estimate as the end of the iteration or phase approaches. What was the ROM estimate? Rough order of magnitude estimate. All right. So in the next iteration phase and the ROM estimate for the remaining activities is defined. Like we're kind of like talking about how teams would be like, okay, so from now till the next 3 months, we have to kind of like finalize something. So we estimate on a weekly basis through like the wave structure. We decide the first estimate through kind of like in research and like maybe PERT or maybe kind of like a bottoms up or up down or parametric estimation where we look at the parameters, and then after that we kind of like use the same. It's not PERT, it's Shusmo. It's the parametric is estimation. We use the wave approach where we kind of like every week we kind of like go through it, we adjust it a bit, and eventually we kind of like have like an average that we can look at. Sources of information. Estimators consider available information from prior experience along with the attributes being estimated. Some common source of information include analogous situations, using an element project, innovative risk, or other that is like the element being estimated. All right, I'm so sorry. I just kind of like mute up. All right. My bad. Am I back? Okay, I am back. So analogous situations are using an element project, initiative, risk, or other. Right? Like, I don't know. An analogous situation is where basically we're using analogies. Like there's an initiative, a risk, a story, a project for us to get information. Organization history is experiences that the organization had with similar work. And you can talk to teams, I guess, or you can basically approach the techniques depending on the documentation you have. Expert judgment is basically what we use with the Delphi approach, where we kind of like leverage the knowledge of individuals about the element being estimated. Estimating often relies on the expertise of those who have performed the work, right? When using external experts, estimators take into account the relevant skills and abilities of those doing the work being estimated, not naturally. I'm not going to call an expert without knowing what the fuck he's experting. Precision and reliability of estimates. When the multiple estimates are made for a particular attribute, the precision of the result estimate is a measure of agreement between the estimates. How close are they by each other? By examining measures. That's basically what I was talking about with the wave function, right? Because what we're doing, not the wave function, with the rolling wave approach. Because what effectively we're doing is we're kind of like looking at the difference between the actual estimates and how close they are to each other. And we examine the measures of imprecision, such as the variance, the variables, the standard deviation, the estimators. All of these are kind of like, what are our expectations of how fucked up they can get or no. The reliability of an estimate is reflected in its repeatability is reflected in the variation of estimates made by different methods of estimating or by different estimators. Yeah, but like how often can we repeat it without us actually like losing shit? To illustrate the level of reliability and precision, an estimate is often expressed as a range of values with an associated confidence level. That is, for a given summary estimate value and confidence level, the range of values is the expected range of possible values based on the estimates provided. For example, if a team estimated that some task would take 40 hours, so here they're talking about how they kind of like weigh range. A 90% confidence interval might be 36 to 44 hours, right? Because they took basically 90% of 40 and they kind of gave it. They gave it that deviation. Depending on what they gave as a individual estimate, a 95% confidence interval will be basically 38 to 42 hours. 10% of 40 is basically 4, right? That's basically the deviation. That's 9% confidence. In general, the higher the confidence level is the estimate, the narrower the range would be. To provide estimates, naturally, if they hit the range, then they're doing good and they adjust their confidence levels, or they kind of like refactor how they got to that confidence level. If they don't, they do the same thing, but they also adjust like where their abilities. Like I estimated 40, but I hit 50, or I estimated 40 and I hit 30. It's like, oh, right. That's a big problem, by the way. There's a rule around it. I forgot what it's called, but like the task basically consumes the time it takes, the time given to it, right? The distribution provides a way to contribute to the overall estimate. To provide estimates with a particular level of confidence, estimators can use such a technique such as PERT, because you go for the optimistic. With the PERT, you go for the optimistic, you pessimistic, and the expected, right? And by doing those, you kind of like see where you're kind of like in between. Using the multiple estimates of each component of the estimate, a probability distribution can be constructed, and the distribution provides a way to compute an overall estimate, incorporating all the estimated elements as a range of values with an associated level of confidence. Woo! Contributors to estimates, the estimators of an element are frequently those responsible for that element. The estimate of a team is usually more accurate when it's estimate one individual. Because every team could actually put in their number, and then you kind of like have a discussion around that, and then everyone adjusts and then realizes why they're saying what they're doing, and they kind of like it's a trust exercise as well, since it incorporates an expertise of all team members. In some cases, an organization has a group that performs estimation for much of the work of the organization. This is done with care so that the estimate reflects the likely content of the element being estimated. Yeah, that's a big ass fucking skill set right there. Like I have to understand people, their moods, their vibes, their abilities, their contextual understanding. So imagine being a team that kind of like goes through every fucking department and estimates what they're gonna be doing. Fuck yeah. When an organization needs a higher level of confidence in the estimate of some critical element, it may call on external experts to perform a review in the estimate, of course. The organization may compare an independent estimate against the internal estimate to determine what adjustments may be needed. Again, like, we can do anything we fucking want. I repeat that over and over and over again. We can do anything we fucking want. What are the strengths of the considerations of usage for estimation? Well, provide a rationale for a assigned budget, time frame, a size of set elements. Without an estimate, teams making a change may be provided an unrealistic budget or schedule for their work. Like you kind of have to be able to like put a goal and measure, and estimates work that way, because then you kind of see if you're like, you get to see your position versus everything else. Having a small team of knowledge individuals provides an estimate by following a defined technique generally results in a closer predictor of the actual value than if an estimate was made by one individual. Updating an estimate throughout a work cycle in which the estimate elements are refined over time, incorporates knowledge and help ensure success, right? Because like you're always evolving and you're understanding how you're taking decisions and how you're estimating and you're repositioning yourself. The limitations are they're only as accurate with the level of knowledge that they're there. Without organizational local knowledge, estimates can vary widely, and your first couple of estimates will probably be like very wild. Using just one estimation method may lead shareholders to have unrealistic expectations. Of course, like you cannot just like look at one thing and be like, that's it. You kind of have to like test waters everywhere else. Fuck yeah. Olo, financial analysis. Look at that. We're done. Yay, estimates.